Oh, welcome back to the Workshop Handyman. I'm going to do a little tour of the shop this fine, wonderful day. I don't know if you're new to the channel. I appreciate you stopping in and check me out. Mr. Workshop Handyman, we do a little bit of everything here. We try to fix and repair whatever comes into the shop. A lot of people think I do handyman work on houses. I try to stay away from that. That's where I got my career start, doing work as a general contractor, home builder. So I know a little bit about that, but I've decided to retire, and now I spend my time working in a little local hardware store, helping other people out how to figure things. I know how to do a little bit of everything, so it works out pretty well with me. It gives me a little bit of social time with people and that type of thing, and I run into people that need my help quite a bit. So I have a shop out here with lots of tools and stuff that I've collected over my many years of fixing things. And so what we're going to do, we'll take you a little trip through here. There's a couple different aspects to the shop. We'll see if we can walk on in here and kind of walk you through it and show you what I've got. This is this part of the shop here that I'm going to show you. Originally started out as a 30 by 50, and then I had to come back in because I ran out of room, and we added another 30 by 30 off the side over there. So it's now a 30 by 80 shop, which mainly consists of my woodworking equipment. And then on this side we have what I would call my mechanical shop, which is where I do most of my small engine repairs, electrical equipment, you know, that kind of thing that has grease, dirt, that kind of thing that's not really good for sawdust being all mixed into it. So we'll start out. Let's walk on through the shop and kind of give you an overview of what we have in here. If you've been to this channel before, you kind of know that, whoa, did I trip over things? Yeah, that's the fan, yes. Yeah, be careful of those things, they'll get you every time. Anyways, we got, my guard dog is always on duty. He keeps a good eye on the place, make sure he knows exactly who's coming and going, and we'll let you know. Other than that, we've got the DeWalt station. This is where we keep all our DeWalt tools. I'm a DeWalt fan, have been for a good many years, just due to the fact that they make a good tool, and start out with them, it's kind of hard to swap over. So I wish I had a good DeWalt sponsorship, because I spend way too much money on all these tools. But they're good tools, we'll keep on using them. This is where we made a little thing to hold all the tools, keep our chargers here, and that kind of keeps us all together in that spot. So as we do walk into here, this is kind of my favorite spot, is my woodworking side, as I say. So we come in, this bench here is 30 foot long, like I say, this is the width of the shop. I've placed my two saws on this, the chop saw and the radial arm saw. Each one of these are strategically placed so that if I have a 16-foot board, I can reach it from one direction or the other and still be able to cut it on this bench. So I may not be able to do both of them, but I can get at least one of them that'll do the 16-foot. This one, of course, goes from the left all the way to this is over 16, and that one going to the right is over 16. All my equipment is as dust collectible as possible, which goes into the gate here. There's a video out there that also shows you how this works. I made this up where you can slide it to whichever tool you want, and that kind of lets it go through, and it's kind of fun to watch the sawdust go through. If you want to see how that was built, there's a video out there. You can investigate that. I have a few little shelves, drawers that I keep some of my equipment in underneath there, and a couple of the toolboxes with a few mechanical tools and all in it. Just kind of a handy place to have them. A small portable air compressor. My big air compressor is over in my other shop, but it comes into here. That one is actually hooked up through my Alexa app. I can tell her to simply turn on my air compressor, and she'll fire it up for me and pump it over here, and I don't have to sit here and listen to a compressor run all the time. So it makes it very convenient when I have her on the job for me. A lot of my shop is hooked up to be smart. Some of the switches, the doors, this type of thing. I try to keep all my tools up on the top shelf here that are electrical. They get a lot less use than they used to. My air tools still get a little bit of use, mainly my trim guns and that type of thing. And all my sandpapers are organized up. I had a sign up there, the range. Somebody brought that by. I did not make that, but it is pretty cool. And I don't know, the picture came from someplace and don't really have a reason to keep it there, but it's there. You know, you just kind of find stuff stashed up in the attic everywhere here. A nice little old sickle. So anyways, this bench is a pretty good workbench. It's set up around being able to handle, like I say, pretty much any size wood that I need. And then directly behind it is my main workbench. It's basically a 10-foot bench, about 3 foot wide. And it's got a good Wilton woodworking vise on the side of it. And I kind of decided this one to have all my small working clamps right here. This is where I normally will end up doing my glue ups and that type of thing in most of my small projects. So we try to keep those handy, and then if we need the bigger ones, we have those hidden over on the other side. And everything pretty much works around this bench. So I can work it from my right side here off of the saws, bring it in and saw it up, set it onto the workbench. If it needs to be drilled, then I can go down to my Grizzly drill press. This is a fairly new purchase this last year. We got it set up, needed something a little bit bigger, so we've got a table built on this that works really good for setting up your fence and getting the repetitive drills on projects if you have a bunch of those. That's a real nice drill press. I'm real happy with it. It's got a lot of speed, a lot of power. Has a very nice, good big platform for woodworking if you cover it up. There again, I had an unboxing video if you wish to see that. You can go search my channel on that one. I pretty much do a little bit of all my setups on video, or hope to. And of course over here you keep all your drill bits and everything so that you're ready to go with whatever project you happen to run across. From there, we have wood storage everywhere. This one over here has got my old cabinet doors in case I need them. They come from old mobile home projects and whatever when I work with mobile homes. My little chick table that we built, that's kind of a nice little thing. Sold several of those. That was a fun little project. That one just kind of hanging out. I don't know, we'll do something with it one day. I've got some rough cut lumber that we cut up with my brother-in-law's sawmill. That's dried and ready to be worked on. I've used a little bit of it. So we keep that over here, and we have a lot of spare parts because I do have rental properties, that kind of thing. So we have refrigerator, stove repair parts, that type of stuff hidden here. Really could have gone over in the other side of the shop that we'll get to eventually, but I just plain ran out of room over there too for now. So for right at this point, we'll leave them here. They'll get moved one day. Then we come down, we've got another tool, the Grizzly bandsaw. This is 17-inch. Has the resaw fence on it. Love this bandsaw. It's good, it's powerful, it does everything I need it to do. It can handle some very good size projects, cuts up wood, resaws wood. It just handles it all. It doesn't slow anything down. So really love that saw. From there, the next one I have in this, all around this bench, is my rigid joiner. It's a good joiner, it's a good starter. I'd really like to upgrade that one day from this little 6-inch, get me an 8-inch. I did upgrade this one and put a helical head on it, as you can see. Highly recommend that. That definitely made a big improvement on it. But it's a good little one for starting out. Not bad, but I would like one a little bit bigger, and one day we'll see if we can squeeze it in here somehow. I don't know, time will tell on that one too. And then we come around the circle a little bit more, and this is my new saw, my saw stop. And anybody that's got a saw stop it's gotta love it, because this thing just, you can't beat it. It's perfect. I do have a piece of wood hidden over the top of it. I keep that on there, a little bit of sawdust still under there. Problem with that is that if you look straight up, I have a skylight up there, and that skylight's not insulated. So when the temperature changes during certain times of the year, it drops directly down on top of my saw, and I'm not too happy about that. So I'm gonna probably get up there one day and build me some sort of a drain or something to keep the water off of it. Until then, I have the piece of plywood just thrown on top of it, and that keeps the water on that instead of rusting it up, which every now and then I forget to do that, and I've had to use some good cleaner to get it cleaned up. And on the other side of this, we have the router table. It's a 4-post router. It's a saw stop router. A lot of people have them on the right hand side. This one here, you can do them either right or left hand. I like mine over here. I've got a little bit more space here than I do trying to work it in on the other side. So kind of just worked in better. And my old one was here, so I was kind of accustomed to having one on the left hand side from my old Craftsman table saw, which I still have, but it definitely no comparison with the saw stop. I know why everybody has them, because they are awesome saw. So from there, that's pretty much gets us all the way around the main workbench, like I say. So you're pretty close to everything. Scrap woods for your small projects, that kind of thing. All my jigs and things are sitting up underneath the table that go to the table saws, the drill press, the bandsaw, whatever jigs I have. Most all of those are needed on all these pieces of equipment. So we have them stacked up underneath there. That works pretty decent and keeps us in the area. The next one is, if we have it coming in, let's go down through here and look at the beast, the 20-inch planer. That one is definitely a workhorse also. I've got some nice size equipment. This one here is able to handle pretty much anything I throw at it. It's got the helical head on that also. Like I say, I'm a firm believer, a helical head, expensive as they are, they're well worth the money. They do a better job, they're quieter, they just do a smoother job, they're easier to keep sharp. They're carbide blades. You nick a nail or something, if you have something that goes through them, it takes you about 2 seconds to pop the top off, move your blade around and go back at it, and you got a brand new sharp blade again without having to replace a whole set of knives. So very nice if you can get yours set up. That's a good improvement for planers, joiners, anything that's got knives in it. You definitely will notice a big difference in volume, sound, cut, the whole thing. So, and I got little drawers full of my wooden dowels and all kinds of little knick-knack things that are here on the wall. So putting something together, they're kind of conveniently located, I think. And for some reason, I've got enough cords that I can probably power up half the world, I think. But I hate to throw them away, so I've got them hung up, different ones. Always good to have some spare cables around. Okay, the next piece of equipment is the drum sander, 16 to 32. I like this. I use it a pretty good bit. I've heard a lot of people that are pretty controversial on whether it's a piece of equipment for their shop or not. I like it for several different reasons. It just, the only thing I don't like is probably the sandpaper. One, it's expensive, and two, if you get anything going on it, it does plug up rather quickly. If you use a very fine sandpaper as a finished sandpaper, it definitely does not last long. But other than that, it definitely gets everything down to the exact same size, gives you a little bit finer tuning than you would find with the planer that I have. So even though the planer does a very good job, that one there I think is just a slight bit more precise on taking just a little bit off. So we like that, and of course it is also connected to the dust collector. And let's see, over on this shelf we've got a grizzly sharpener. This does all my chisels and that type of thing. It's a wet sharpener. Works pretty good. I don't have that out in a permanent spot. We have to kind of drag that out as needed. I've got a couple of other guards and guides, my little scroll saw. And within this we have cabinets, and they're full of different parts and pieces of stuff. Most of my finishes and all kind of keep in here. I don't have a whole lot. I don't do a lot of real fine finish work. If I do need some finish, I pretty much just buy as needed. I've got a little portable table saw that don't get used a whole lot, but if I need to go someplace, that's a nice light little saw. It works. Take that out on a job site if I have to. I've got some more rough wood down here. I have wood stashed everywhere. I don't know if I'll ever use it all, but it's all here if I ever need it. From there, we're going to come around, and this is my drum and disc sander. Here again, very good beefy thing. It's 220 volt also, industrial size. It'll definitely take down some wood in a hurry. I love it. I like all these tools pretty darn good. They all have a little purpose to them. I'd still like to probably add another sander in here, but I've got this one. Looks like I haven't got it cleaned up very well. But the rigid there again makes a nice little spindle sander and a belt sander if you want to put that on it. It works out pretty good. I don't have any complaints really with that either. It sands it down if you need it. Next two pieces of equipment I have are router tables. Opinion on these Bosch router tables. I have the Bosch router up underneath them. If I had to pick my favorite router table, it would not be these. The 4-post on the table saw, by far superior, easier to adjust. You can get to the router. You don't really need to get to the router on the other one. These, quite awkward to get up underneath these and try to adjust them if you got to get to the bit to change it. Dust collection's pretty good. It works fine. And once you get them set up, they're all right. But the adjustments, like I say, I fight with them every time. It's not near as nice as a 4-post. So I'd highly recommend a 4-post if you have an option to. Other than that, they're universal. They do all right. They do a good job when you get them set up. They're just, like I say, the height adjustment and that type of thing is just a lot more difficult than the other one is. We got all my router bits are built in here, so it gives me a pretty good selection of those. Can pretty much do any kind of routing, and then the tools that I need to take out the bits and this type of thing are hung right here, conveniently located. I think that's pretty much all my woodworking tools. Pretty good setup here, I think. On this side, we get all our nails, screws, fasteners, this type of thing. Convenient. Lots of them. Shelves to store a few odds and ends inside of there. Nothing too drastic in that part of it. Have just a little bit of shelf space left there to add something else if I need to. Up above, lots of cans for storage, 5-gallon buckets, that kind of thing, and hodgepodge up there. So a little bit. We still have some organizing. We can always organize. It's a constant battle to get it organized. And again, more wood stashed everywhere. So just never know what kind of small pieces you need, and I've got them all over the place. All right, that's about got the majority. One more big tool, and then we'll go on to the other. No, we got two tools left. One is my panel saw. Nice big panel saw. Much easier to run 4x8 sheets through this than it is to do it on the other one. I still keep a sign on it, not necessarily needed, but I thought it was pretty cool. So it's actually attached to the wall, but when I bought it, it was just kind of laying there. So we left it on there just for the fact that I thought it was pretty funny, and it keeps people from climbing on it, I guess, too, but not too many people try that anyways. Let's see, metal brake from my window and siding days. 10-foot brake. It's a little bit old and worn out, but it still works. It's close enough that I can make it work anyways. Could probably use a tune-up, but man, I don't do enough to make it worthwhile to do it. So it's gonna last just like it is, I think. And then we'll come over here. Of course, my wood rack. We can look at that. More wood. That's all we can say. More wood. All my plywood stands up in here. All my miscellaneous trims and that kind of thing that I find that are 10 foot or less, most of them, I keep on this rack. and on top, and then we stand up all our 2x, that kind of thing, because I can get the longest stand on those. A few more miscellaneous glass, plexiglass, and small scraps, plywood, stuff like that goes in there also. I do a lot of mobile home work. Those are mobile home trims. So they're cheap stuff that's very expensive. Not something you want to use a whole lot around a real house, but they do fix up my rentals. So that works pretty good. And of course, another big rack of different trims and things and my saws. And the last tool, I believe, is my Delta lathe. I've got an old oak log on there. I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do with that. I started trimming it down and I cut one cookie off of it, and it just kind of had a cool pattern to it. So I don't know if I can find something I can do with that or not. We'll find something, but it looked kind of cool. So that's just something I'm going to play around with, and I always like playing around with the lathe. So that's pretty much all the big tools. Okay, in my woodworking shop, I do have a dust collection system. We kind of hit on some of that. This is the way I've got mine set up. It's a little bit different. Most of the time you'd have a bag collector on the bottom. I do not have that. I've brought it in and just made a box. Within the box, the lid comes up and I keep a trash can buried in there. Very easy to empty that. And I'll kind of show you another dust collector I have over on the other side here in a little bit. And normally up on top of this, you have a big filter bag up on here that collects all the fine dust that goes through your separator here. All your big stuff swirls around, it drops down into the bottom of the bucket. All your fine stuff comes up with your exhaust and goes out your exhaust pipe, and instead of going into that bag restricting that flow, I simply, country boy, I run my hose up through the fan. And normally all your trash goes through the fan first and then comes through all this. On mine, I put the fan on the outlet side of this to make sure that I picked up all the big stuff so it didn't go into the fan blades and do damage to that. Once it leaves that, it actually goes around and just goes straight out the side of the building. What that does for me is it keeps a lot of wood chips outside if I do a lot of planing, but it just kind of rots away into the ground, doesn't hurt anything. I guess if it piled up enough, I could rake it up, but it's not, usually it's just real fine dust, so you really don't get a whole lot on it. And it also takes about half the noise that the fan makes and shoves it right outside to keep the noise level inside the shop down considerably. So that's a big plus on that. Off of my thing to set up my dust collection, probably could use a little bit bigger fan, but this one doesn't do bad. It collects the majority of it. I've got two or inlets, I should call them. One of them is the 5-inch inlet, and it goes straight over and comes down and hooks up to my planer. That is the biggest dust collection use I have. I mean, that one it needs the most airflow, so it's got its own separate pipe. Everything else gets closed off, so we can use that. The other one comes up from this location, and it tees off in this location. One of them comes around and goes into the little box here, and on that, I have a piece of flex hose hooked up. So I can valve that one in, and that flex hose will pretty much reach every place in the shop. And it picks up the sawdust, cleans my tools off and all that without running around with a vacuum cleaner of any sort, and brings it right into my dust collector. That's an old, actually, it's a hose off of my swimming pool. Kind of wore out, didn't work good for the swim pool, but it works pretty good for the dust collector. It's enough to drag it off. And then the dust collector then comes up, splits off, comes over, and picks up the drum sander off of that branch. And then the other branch continues. Let's see if we can kind of chase it out for you, give you an idea how much pipe is in here. I can't say that this is a perfect layout. That 90-degree elbow right there, if you really lay it out, that should not be that sharp of an angle. It should look more like that 45, 45. The smoother you can make your pipe, the less restrictions you have in the air, and you get a little bit better flow. So that's something I could modify down the road, but like I say, it's working pretty decent. It goes through the ceiling up here and drops back down on this side, and it picks up this whole bank here. Each one of these has a valve on it that you can valve in as you need it. And it has one main shutoff valve that closes the whole bank off. The pipe comes down also and splits off. One goes over to the bandsaw. One comes down and we pick up the joiner, and we also pick up the table saw and the router. So your table saw and router is controlled either the top port, or you can push it down and pick up your bottom port. So depending on which tool you're using, you just have to make sure you select the right one, and that'll take care of the dust collection on your table saw. And from there you have a T in it. Let's see if I can find it way back here. And you chase that across the wall, and it comes down and it goes to the two saws on the front bench that we talked about earlier. So that pretty much does the dust collection, and like I say, it works really pretty good for what it is. There's better ones probably out there, bigger pipe, better airflow on some of them, but all in all, it does a good job. So that's the basic layout of the woodworking shop. We'll take a little trip over into the other side, the new addition, and take a quick peek at that. Okay, on this side of the shop, we really basically have a place to park the tractor. I do all my own maintenance on it also. There's several videos out there if you have a tractor that you want to see how to do. We do the repairs on that, oil changes, fuel filters, all that type of thing. It's a L2800 Kubota. It's a 28 horsepower tractor, front end loader, 4-wheel drive. It's my baby. It's a 2007, and it's earned its keep. We keep it around. It does everything I need it to do. Fits in the shop nicely here. So that's another one of those projects that we get on video every now and then, is the repair of that. The next tool we have is, I do have a full glass cutting station here. We'll take a pretty good sized piece of glass and cut it. And I have several things of glass that we cut up. We save old windows, that type of thing. So if we need any glass, we can cut that and make it work. Come around, I got a couple of spare air conditioners. Like I say, I do a lot of different repairs. I have rental properties, and this side over here really stores a lot of my rental property, maintenance issue things, shovels, forks, rakes, that kind of thing, all hang in here, ready to go. Bins holding parts, all my electrical, small receptacles and that type of thing, covers, all stay in those. Spare wood hanging out from other projects I ain't got cleaned up yet, that'll build something eventually. This spot here is the restricted space. This table, you can see, is not got a whole lot on it. This is the wife's counter. She said if I build this big old shop, she wants at least a workbench. So we split that off. She don't ever use it, but about once a year, but there it is. She's got it. I have a tape on there to keep me from running my stuff over onto it, so she can come out here if she wants to transplant a little plant or something. But that's really about all she does out here. So, but that's all right. I guess that's, out of a 30 by 80, I can spare, what is that, 5 by 3, something like that, workbench, and try to keep it cleared up around her. You know, I'm a good husband. All right, and other than that, this one here, this is where I keep all my supplies for my mobile homes and any kind of maintenance work I do around the house here too. But I have a pretty good selection from cleaning supplies. We go through locks, doorknobs, that type of thing. We have a full section of plumbing parts, pieces. Up on top, lighting fixtures, old lamps, fans, that type of thing for repairs. We drop down a little bit. Most of the electrical equipment is here. whatever you need for electrical. And down at the other end, we've got some big cables and a lot of, I don't know, I guess those are door thresholds, weather stripping, screen molding, that kind of thing. And I've also got me a pretty cool looking refrigerator here, and it works. It's a Red Bull, looks like a gas pump. It's not a gas pump, but it looks like one. Really a pretty cool fridge, and it works just fine. I just don't have anything really to plug it up and use it for right at the moment, so it just kind of sits here collecting a little bit of dust, but we'll figure out something to do with it, I think, at some point. Let's see, what else we got out in this shop here? Yes, my spare table saw. I've got this one here. It's the old Craftsman that, if you watch my videos, it did a lot of projects for me. It's been around for a long time. Not as accurate as the old saw stop. So I kind of keep it around for other things. Right now I've got a dado blade on it, mainly because it's a lot of work to swap it back and forth on the saw stop. It's easier to just leave it set up on this one. And because I have this saw over here, I also set this up on a spare dust collector. And this is the typical dust collector system. Your bag up on top and your collection down below. And like I say, if anybody has one of these, they understand the frustration of taking this bag and emptying it and trying to get it back up on the bottom of that. It's very aggravating. This filter bag, if you don't have the big ones, pleated filters, I've never had a pleated filter, but if you shake this bag, you're always going to get dust dropping down into the bottom, and it plugs up, and that definitely restricts your airflow. If you can't have airflow going out, you're not going to have any airflow coming in, and that's why I really don't care for that. The big pleated filters are supposed to be a lot better, but they're filtering out that air. If you don't have a choice, then you know, you have to go with that, and this one's not worth putting a damper on it. It's kind of used as a mobile dust collector, so we'll leave it hooked up like that. What else can I say about this side of the building? This right here leads into a lot of projects, and like I say, this is the workshop handyman. It's not woodworking only. I work on all kinds of different projects and things, so you never know what you're going to get with the channel. I definitely like my shop. I like having the woodworking ability. I definitely prefer the woodworking side, I think, over the other. But, you know, there's a lot of other projects also, and the channel's around helping people figure out how to do all kinds of handyman stuff, fixing things around the house and doing projects. So that's what we're going to try to stick with. And we'll take a little trip over into the mechanic side and show you some of that too. Let's see, we just kind of go around here a little bit, show you what we do have. I do try to keep a fairly good organized set, nuts, bolts, washers, metric and standard, all displayed out. I've got little trays of them pretty much everywhere down into here. Buried, I kind of keep everything as organized as I can. Cleaning equipment, starter fluids, lubricants, that kind of thing up here. A little bit of spray paint in this area. Like I said, this is all mechanical. Anything that really sawdust is not good for comes over into this side of the shop, so that'll be your small engines. Right now I have a skill saw that's being repaired. I had a little video on that probably. Has a little switch intermittent. We're going to find out if the customer wants to pay for that or not. But other than that, I try to keep all my small tools and all right here on the front window now. All my wrenches are set up. The things I'm going to use on a regular basis. On this workbench, I've got a vise set up so that it'll hold most things that I need to hold on to. It's got a Formica top, so it makes it fairly easy to keep semi-clean. I got so many projects coming through here that it hardly ever gets cleaned off all the way, but it works. I've got a movable vise that I can kind of set up if I need to hold something and move it around a little bit on the vise, like a chainsaw or something. If I want to clamp it down, it's nice to have a vise that's heavy enough that'll hold it in place while I'm working on it. I also keep all my Allen wrench tools extra screws and things here. Booster box to run something off of, and of course more DeWalt tools. Yes, these are most of these are my 18 volt. I do have a 20 volt ratchet back in there, but like those, keep all my pipe wrenches, big wrenches in here for the maintenance. My old drill press resides in here now. I had this one over in the woodworking shop, and of course that didn't like that plan too well, because if you come in and start cutting metal or drilling metal, then you've got cutting oils, that type of thing into it, and then you go to use it for wood. It just doesn't work well. So I moved this one over here, got the big grizzly on the other shop. That kind of took care of that problem. This is still a good old drill press, been around. It was my dad's back in the, I don't know, 50 years ago. So it's been around for a long time, but it runs good. Don't have the power of the grizzly, that's for sure, but it does what I need it to do. 2 toolboxes worth of tools, pretty much anything you need to work on pretty much anything mechanical wise. And then we go around, yes, I do have a Frisbee golf course out there that I made, and we have a fair amount of Frisbee golf discs. I haven't played in a while. I wish I could get somebody out here to play some with me. But anyways, beyond that, we have wire wheels, grinding wheels, some more tools hanging there. Yeah, we had a blower. I guess I'm waiting on some air filters for these. Big backpack blower, and somebody else brought me a big concrete saw. That one, I think we've got it up and running, and it just waiting on an air filter on that one too now, I think is all. So it's ready to go. Floor jacks, that kind of thing for this side of the shop. That table does roll around. It's a pretty nice little handy table to have. Well, so we've got a little bit of everything. If I'm working on lawnmowers, I've got an old hoist system set up here that we can use. That hoists up lawnmowers and all. You'll see me use that on several occasions, doing lawnmower blades, that kind of thing, spindle replacements, anything to do with small items like that. That works pretty good. Let's see, an overhead door. Can't really get a vehicle in here. There's not really enough room. About get a nose in here and that's it. So I really have to stay smaller than a vehicle. So your lawnmowers and all fit in here just fine. Beyond that, yeah, we ain't getting it in here. It's too crowded. This is my original shop until I built my big one, and I used to try to do everything in here. And actually this building kind of has a little history. We'll go into that in a minute. If you look at the building, it's got some old wood in here. You can see it's half painted and that type of thing. And this actually came from a, back when I was doing contractor work downtown and this type of thing. I had a person that needed an old garage torn down. And so we tore that down and we brought all that wood home, and I made most of this building out of that old shop that they had, old garage. Added a few more boards, and that's what I could afford at the time, so it worked out real well. We got it put in here and did the brick work, did the concrete work. Definitely not the best concrete floor work, but it worked at the time. Learned a lot since then. Now I let everybody else pour my concrete because it just is so much smoother. But anyways, we come on back into the back half of the shop. Try to keep my gasolines and flammables and stuff back here. Means I do have a welder and all up in the on this other side, and really don't like to have a lot of gas right next to the welders. Little storage. Here's my compressor. This one here is piped in underground, and this is the one I can start from the other shop, and it'll run from that one. Big tank, runs anything I need it to run. I can also tie it in over here to this shop if I need to, but I do have a compressor here that most of the time is the one I use in this shop. I don't really use much more air than that anyway, so we have a good Craftsman. It does 33-gallon tank, pretty much takes care of everything I need it to. If I get into big air tools, I can splice the two of them together, and I've got pretty much unlimited air supply there. Keep my Skag lawnmower over on this side. Several videos out there on blade changes, belt change. I don't remember. I think I rebuilt part of the Kawasaki engine on the back of this on one of mine. Yeah, pretty much a little bit of everything on that one also. Love my little Skag. It's that one's 2007 model also, so we had that around. It's about 700 hours on it all, but runs good still as the day I bought it. And the only difference on this one is the sand land I live in. This thing has got enough steel welded underneath this mowing deck that keeps blowing through, sandblasted. But that's all right. We'll keep doing it. The deck will just have a little extra weight from the metal I add back to it. Other than that, back here, man, shelves just full of stuff. Saws, old heater components, furnace parts, computers. I also play with those a pretty good bit. Always been into the computers since they first came out. My first computer was a TRS 80. That's a Radio Shack, probably second edition, something like that. And never have really given up on it. Don't keep up on quite the specs that I used to, but back in the day we used to rebuild them, build them from scratch. Had a lot of fun with it. So I also do that as a part of the workshop handyman, computer repairs. Don't do a whole lot of filming on that though. Just not really a whole lot I can film on that. And I do like this little bad boy here too. That is probably one of the few battery operated yard tools that I actually would say I like. It's the DeWalt DCS T972, and the reason I like that, it's got the 60 volt flex battery that goes into it, but the biggest reason I bought it was because it also has a removable head. I can use all the old attachments that I had from my edgers, my pruning shears, my whatever I need, weed eater head, pole saw, blowers, whatever I had that worked on the old one actually works just perfectly fine on this one. So it's about the only one I knew of that actually had the power and the ability to swap out the heads and work with all my equipment, and the battery lasts long enough that I can pretty well weed eat my whole 5-acre lot here to around the house, the pool, and that kind of thing. So that there, I don't know, I think that pretty much concludes most of the inside work area of the shop. Like I say, this one does have an upstairs, mostly storage up there. I'm well equipped with pretty much everything. Like I say, I work in a hardware store, but I pretty much have my own hardware store right here, because there's a lot of times I need parts that I've got more of here than they do at the hardware store. But you know, that's years and years of collecting. So, okay, I hope you enjoyed the little tour we had around the shop. You know, I got a lot of variety of stuff. I hope you enjoy watching that. I appreciate it. I've got not a big following, but over 1,100, I believe it is now, that have subscribed to my channel. I want to thank you for subscribing. Hope the information has been somewhat useful to you. I try to do a little bit of everything so I don't catch, you know, just the one crowd. So I know it's kind of selective. If you're a woodworker, you may like my woodworking projects, and if you're a mechanic or needing to fix your small engine equipment, you're going to want to check out those videos. But I do a little bit of everything, so it is a handyman workshop. You never know what I'll get into, and I'm not a professional in any one in particular, but I do have pretty good roundabout knowledge of a lot of things. So we enjoy working on them. I enjoy troubleshooting. I enjoy getting comments from y'all on what I can do better, helping me out. And you know, my subscribers can always enlighten me if I mess up. I don't mind the critique. I learn from it. The people that watch my videos will learn from it. So please do let me know that. If you have something that you want me to show you or have questions, I'll be more than happy to try to make a video to show what I do know about something. Like I say, I've been in this business of fixing things for 50 years or so. Since I was growing up with my dad, we've worked on things. So like I say, we've got over 1,100 subscribers. Never figured it would ever get to near this amount. I kind of started this off just answering questions, I think, for my son, and he had a question about power supply. So I think my first one showed amp load versus no amp load, and which one uses more power, and that's this type of thing. So it's come a long way since then, but I appreciate it. Let me know what you'd like to see. I'll try to add that in, and please hit the like, subscribe, comment. All those help my channel out, makes it worthwhile putting all this out for you. And I try to give you what you like to see. And I'll try not to be quite so serious. Some people think I'm a little too serious on here. I'm not in normal everyday life. I'm really a lot more relaxed than what I do in front of the camera. But anyways, that's the way we are. We'll try to be informative and not make it a comedy show. But thanks again. Let me cut this loose, and we'll talk to y'all on the next video. Thanks again for subscribing.